Merry-Go-Round Storytelling presents Funny Tales and Fairy Tales with Amanda Kane-Smith. Hello, I'm Amanda, and this week on Funny Tales and Fairy Tales, I'm going to tell you the story of the Three Billy Goats Gruff. So make yourself comfy and let's see where today's story will take you. Once upon a time, there was a herd of goats living in a very dry and dusty field. The goats didn't like their field at all. The dust made their eyes itch. It made their tummies itch. It made their legs itch. And worst of all, it made their shoulders itch, which was a problem because they could never quite reach the itch to scratch it. Next to the field, there was a deep, wide river. And on the other side of the deep, wide river was a beautiful field with trees for shelter and long, juicy green grass, perfect for little goats to eat. Unfortunately, the river was so deep and so wide, the goats weren't able to get across, and all they could do was look hungrily at the field and imagine how tasty the green grass would be to eat. That is until one day some builders came along and built a big wooden bridge across the river. The goats were so excited because at long last they would be able to taste the juicy green grass. But as soon as the builders had finished, a horrible, terrible, unbearable troll moved in under the bridge and wouldn't let anyone cross it.
I'm a troll, foldy-roll. I'm a troll, foldy-roll. I'm a troll, foldy-roll. And I'll eat you for my supper.
Now, as I have said, the troll was horrible. He was terrible. He was unbearable. And worst of all, his favourite food was goat. He had had his eye on the herd of goats for a while, and now the bridge was built, he just lurked under it, waiting for the goats to try to cross. But they never did. They were too frightened. One day, 3 billy goats called Gruff came to live in the field. There was a big billy goat, a middle-sized billy goat, and a small billy goat, and altogether they were known as the 3 Billy Goats Gruff. When they heard about the troll, the biggest billy goat said, "I'm not afraid of the troll." "Neither am I," said the middle-sized billy goat. "Nor me," said the smallest billy goat.
"What we need is a plan,"
said the biggest billy goat Gruff. They decided to have a meeting to come up with a plan to get all the goats across the bridge and into the field on the other side. It was a very long meeting, which continued into the night. But finally, they came up with a perfect plan. And this is what they did. The very next morning, the smallest Billy Goat Gruff set off to cross the wooden bridge. Trippity-trop, went his hooves upon the bridge. Ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling, went the bell around his neck. All of a sudden he heard,
I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, and I'll eat you for my supper.
The smallest Billy Goat stopped.
Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?
Roared the troll.
It's only me, the smallest Billy Goat Gruff. Please may I cross your bridge?
No, I'm going to eat you up,
grinned the troll, licking his big green lips.
Oh no, please, Mr. Troll,
pleaded the little goat.
I am so small, you could swallow me up in just one gulp. If you let me cross, my big brother will come to look for me. He's much bigger and fatter than I am, and you could eat him instead.
The troll thought for a moment. He did not want to waste his time on a little goat, if there was a bigger and fatter one to eat.
That's a good idea,
agreed the troll.
You can cross the bridge. I'll wait here.
So the smallest Billy Goat Gruff skipped across to the other side. Trippity-trop, went his hooves upon the bridge. Ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling, went the bell around his neck. The troll didn't have to wait very long before the middle-sized Billy Goat began to walk across the bridge. Clip-clop, went his hooves upon the bridge. Ding-dong, went the bell around his neck. All of a sudden he heard,
I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, and I'll eat you for my supper.
The middle-sized Billy Goat stopped.
Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?
Roared the troll.
It's only me, the middle-sized Billy Goat Gruff. Please may I cross your bridge?
No, I'm going to eat you up,
grinned the troll, licking his big green lips.
Oh no, please, Mr. Troll, pleaded the goat. I am not big enough to fill you up. If you let me cross, my big brother will come to look for me. He's much fatter and tastier than I am, and you could eat him instead.
The troll thought for a moment. He did not want to waste his time on this goat, if there was a fatter and tastier one coming along.
That's a good idea,
he said.
You can cross the bridge. I'll wait here.
So the middle-sized Billy Goat Gruff skipped across to the other side. Clip-clop, went his hooves upon the bridge. Ding-dong, went the bell around his neck. The troll didn't have to wait very long before the biggest-sized Billy Goat began to walk across the bridge. Tramp, tromp, went his hooves upon the bridge. Bang, bong, went the bell around his neck. All of a sudden he heard,
I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, I'm a troll, foldy-roll, and I'll eat you for my supper.
The biggest billy goat stopped.
Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?
Roared the troll.
It's only me, the biggest billy goat Gruff. Please may I cross your bridge? No, I'm going to eat you up,
answered the troll, and this time he poked his big green head up over the bridge. His eyes were as big as monster truck wheels, and he licked his green lips, imagining how tasty the goat would be to eat. But the biggest billy goat was not at all frightened.
Eat me up,
laughed the biggest billy goat Gruff.
We'll just see about that.
The biggest billy goat bent his head down and waited.
You'll have to catch me first.
Well, no one had ever answered back to the troll before, and he was shocked and cross. He immediately jumped up onto the bridge and bent his big hairy head down and ran at the goat. The goat ran toward the troll, and they met in the middle of the bridge. The goat's horns caught the troll by the hair on his big green head. He lifted the troll into the air, and before the troll was able to grab him with his big hairy hands, the goat tossed him into the air, and the troll fell into the swirling waters of the deep, wide river below. Cried the troll as he floated up the river, never to be seen again. The biggest billy goat smiled and triumphantly walked across the bridge to the other side. Tramp, tromp, tramp, tromp went his hooves upon the bridge. Bang, bong, went the bell around his neck. The herd of goats, who had watched the whole thing from a safe distance, now began to walk gingerly toward the bridge, and one by one they carefully crossed over. When they were safely in the beautiful field with the trees for shelter and the long juicy green grass to eat, they all began to cheer. Hip hip hooray for the Three Billy Goats Gruff! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! And with that, all the goats began to eat the juicy green grass, which they all agreed was even tastier than they had ever imagined. And they all lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed that story. I love how the goats are able to trick the greedy troll into letting them pass. I doubt they'll be seeing him again. And he is such a bully. Do you know, there is a saying which goes, all brawn and no brains. I know, it sounds a bit odd, but it just means someone who is really strong and powerful, but not very clever. Well, I think the troll is just like that. Maybe you could write a story like this, where someone has to use their brains to come up with a clever plan to defeat someone who is much more powerful and stronger than them. And if you do, maybe you could send it to me. I'd love to read it. Well, next time on Funny Tales and Fairy Tales, I shall be telling you the story of The Enormous Turnip. So until then, take care and happy storytelling. Thank you for listening. If you want to contact me, you can email me at mgrstorytelling@gmail.com. I am on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter as @mgrstorytelling and Merry-Go-Round Storytelling on YouTube. You can find me on Podbean at podbean.com/funnytales and fairytales. Or why not take a look at my website to see what other types of storytelling I get up to, which is www.merrygoroundstorytelling.co.uk. Happy storytelling, and I look forward to telling you another tale soon.